having a super fantastic sparkling day. Some of you may be recovering from the festivities of yesterday in the United States. I have to say I spent probably an hour and a half going through Instagram and TikTok and Reels and Shorts and all those sorts of things, catching glimpses of some of the celebrations that took place across America celebrating 250 years. It was incredible. I was in awe of some of them. I got emotional over some of them. It was just absolutely magic to see a country come together to celebrate 250 years of freedom. It was amazing. So well done to all of those that organized all of the celebrations and everything. No matter how you, let us know in the comments below how you celebrated. That would be awesome. I would love to hear that. Did you go to a community display? Did you just get together with family and friends? How did you celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence? Well, welcome to Porchlight Letters Podcast. It is number 2560. We're getting close to 7. We're almost finished 7 years. We've been doing this we've been doing these lives daily for almost 7 full years. We're about on August the 1st, we will start year 8. Yes. So what are we talking about today? Oh, today is a great, this is one of my most favorite things to ask family members. It is one of my most favorite things to ask when I go to weddings. It is one of my favorite things to listen to find out about and all of that sort of thing. And I'm probably going to get emotional and choked up about this because these are such important milestones in our genealogy history. Very important milestones. Where was your family when they met the love of their life? Think about that. Some moments change a family's story forever. Meeting the love of your life is often one of them. Every great family story has a beginning. It may have started with a chance meeting at a dance, in a classroom, at church, at work, on a train, or through mutual friends, or even an arranged marriage. Perhaps it was love at first sight, or maybe their friendship grew into something much deeper over time. However it happened, one meeting changed the future of every generation that followed. Think about everything that came from that moment. Weddings, children, grandchildren, family traditions, countless of memories all began because 2 people happened to cross paths. If they had never met, your family's story would be completely different. The little details are often the ones worth preserving. Who made the first move? What were their first words to each other? Did they write letters while they were apart? Was there anyone who said they would never last, or someone who knew from the very beginning that they were meant to be together? These are the stories that bring our family history to life. Love stories are rarely found in census reports, birth certificates, or official documents. They live in family conversations, old photographs, handwritten letters, and memories of those who were there. Once those memories are gone, they can be impossible to recover. I have heard so many amazing stories over time. And I've even heard stories of, you met how? And the story has literally taken my breath away. And I've gotten emotional as started crying as I've been telling it, because as Mark Twain once said, truth is stranger than fiction. That's why fiction has to make sense. And the true stories that they tell you about them meeting and how they met and all of that sort of thing just some of them have left me gobsmacked. Like, I'm just like sitting there in awe that all these circumstances came together, all this stuff happened for them to come together to meet, and in a situation where they should never have met. That's how cool listening to love stories is. We've had everything from my parents met in a hospital. My mum was the nurse, my dad was the patient. And if I remember correctly, so mum and dad, if you're listening to this and I get it wrong, please forgive me. I'm just going from memory, which is a little sketchy right now on this one. But mum had just come back from time off, from some vacation or something. And her first job she had to do was to monitor this guy who had been knocked in the head and was suspected of having a concussion. And my dad was the guy that had gotten knocked in the head and was in hospital under observation with this nurse who had just come back from vacation and wasn't happy about having to have to monitor this guy who was stupid enough to get knocked in the head. But I don't remember all the details in that. I just remember that general thing. And how it went and what they said to each other after that, how they got the spark, who asked who out and all that sort of stuff. I'm unclear on. I'm going to have to go back and ask them to record it. But that's my parents' story about how they met. I know that mum was the nurse and dad was the patient. And and she was monitoring him for a concussion. That's all I can tell you. And then who else have I got? My mother-in-law, I don't remember how she met her husband. I don't remember the actual meeting of the husband, but he took a liking to her, and she was on the bus one day, and he got off at the same stop as her and walked her to her house, walked along with her, talking to her, asking her questions, asking her to go out. He wanted to go out on Saturday night. She says, no, I do my hair on Saturday nights. Those were in the days where you'd wash your hair like once a week, and you would set it for the week. And that was and Saturday happened to be her hair washing. And he was persistent. He was on her bus. I'm not sure if he actually walked her from the office to the bus and then sat with her on the bus and then walked her home. But he was persistent, and she finally gave in, and they started going and they started dating. Theirs is just a truly beautiful love story. And so, and when she was telling her daughter-in-law, there was myself and my two sister-in-laws there. All of her daughter-in-laws were out for lunch one day, and she was telling us this story, and we were roaring with laughter about how our father-in-law, who the other two girls had met him. I did not get the opportunity to do that. He passed long before I came along. But they were roaring with laughter and talking about how he was a stalker, all this sort of thing. But it made for a beautiful love story. And then that's the one where on April 25th, 1945, she got on a train and from Shreveport, Louisiana, went up to Denver, Colorado, and had already instructed him to meet her at the train station. And their next stop was going to be City Hall to get married, because she was not going to stay with him unless they were married. And if that wasn't going to happen, then she was going to get on the train and go back home. He met her at the station. They went to City Hall, and then there was a photograph taken of them walking down the street on their wedding day. So that was pretty cool. Oh, who else have I gotten there? So many stories. So many stories. Just chance meetings, chance encounters. I have worked with people who, there's one guy I used to work with, and his wife was the only girlfriend he ever had. She was his high school sweetheart. And they met when they were like 15 or 16, and they were together until the day he died. Which, now here's a really weird thing. As I was cleaning through the stuff back in the States, preparing to move to New Zealand, I came across his funeral of service. This guy I used to work, came across his funeral of service. He passed on September 24th, 2010. Brad passed exactly 7 years later on the same day. So I was just, when I looked at the date on there, I was just like, wait, what? Yeah. So he had been with his wife since high school. They met in high school. She was his only girlfriend. He was her only boyfriend. And they got two amazing kids out of it. I'm trying to remember how old the kids were when he passed. I know his daughter was in her 20s, and his son was about to turn 20, late teens, early 20s as well. I can't remember how many years were between the two kids. But yeah, that was just freaky. That was freaky when I read his death date on this order of service, and it was exactly 7 years later that my husband died on the same day. But this guy had been known as my work husband, because everybody always said that we fought like an old married couple. So that was kind of funny and coincidental as well. But yeah, he saw her at school, and he said that was it. He never had eyes for another girl, never. And she only had eyes for him. So there was a beautiful love story. So there's all these stories around there. I met a couple who were an arranged marriage, and they ended up falling in love. There's all sorts of stories out there where when you hear this, there are some stories out there that when you hear them, they're sort of like, how on earth did everything collide to come to that moment in time when you two met? There are just, ask your parents about their love story, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, if they're still around. Ask your older generation about their love story, about how they met their spouse. There's some cool stories in there. You know, people might have met in the workplace. They might have met at a bar, at a restaurant. It could have been, they might have been sitting at tables next to each other when they first saw each other, and that was it. The sparks flew. It could have been they were out with a group of friends, and they got to meet there with a group of friends that were all out together for some celebration or something. They could have met at a wedding. They could have met at a graduation party or a birthday party. Friends coming in to celebrate a birthday, and they could have met then. So there's all sorts of ways that you can meet people. I've even heard of people How they met is one banged their car into the other. I'm like, okay, that's a little extreme, but that's how they met. My nephew met his bride when she drove into a ditch. So I've got a nephew and I've got a niece that met her husband on a dating app. There's just all sorts of stories out there. You never know where you're going to meet the love of your life. I've heard of people meeting at dances, at church, just in a park. They just happen to be walking around in a park and bump into each other and start talking. Could have been at a game. They were at a park watching a game. One of those games where the work colleagues get together and battle against another company or something like that. Those Sunday games or whatever, they got their flag football or whatever. I've heard a huge amount of stories of how people have met, and those are my favorite. Amongst my favorite stories to hear is, how did you meet your spouse? How did you know that they were the one? Just absolutely incredible stories are out there. You just got to unearth them and just ask. And that is your challenge for today. Ask a family member how your parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents met. Where were they? Who introduced them? What made them fall in love? It could have been love at first sight. I've heard of people getting married, a few days after meeting each other. I've heard of a couple who were dating and everything else, and circumstances separated them, and they came back years later, and then 17 days after they re-met, they got married. And I looked at and I'm listening to their story about how they reconnected again. And I'm listening to the story. And then I said, well, how long after you guys got back together did you get married? And they go, 17 days. And I just looked at her husband and said, what took you so long? But it's a beautiful love story. And you see this couple together. And during that time, they were apart for many years, but in the fact that they got married and had their own families and that, and then not sure what happened to their marriages, but they ended up being single again, ended up reconnecting, and then got married 17 days after they got back together again. And I will tell you, watching these two together is just incredible. It's just in their body. The love for each other just oozes from their body. It's in their looks. It's in their mannerisms. It's in their faces. And it's just an incredible thing to watch, and just watch how they interact with each other and things. I love stories. So who introduced them? What made them fall in love? Was it love at first sight? Did it take a while to blossom? Did they know each other earlier and then got together as a couple later on? What was their love story? What do you remember about those? What do they remember about those early days together? Take time to record their story, because every family tree begins with a love story somewhere along its branches. Let us know some of the crazy stories that you come across in the comments below. Would love to hear those. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at, let me check the timetable here. Yeah, it'll be at 7 p.m. Pacific. Hang on. Yeah, 7 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. It'll be 7 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. So, because I got another meeting on. That goes for a couple of hours. So 7 p.m. Pacific tomorrow evening.